In the year 1453, a city stood between two worlds. For over 1,000 years, Constantinople had endured, through plague, through siege, through the very collapse of empires. It was the crown jewel of Christendom, the last great capital of the Roman Empire, a city of saints, scholars, and golden domes. And in the spring of that year, a 21-year-old sultan arrived at its walls with the largest army the Near East had ever assembled. What followed would shake the foundations of civilization. His name was Mehmed. His father called him restless. His tutors called him brilliant. History would call him Al-Fatih, the conqueror. But empires have their seasons. By 1453, the Eastern Roman Empire was barely an empire at all, a city-state clinging to ancient glory, its population gutted by plague, its treasury empty, its navy a shadow of its former might. While Constantinople faded, the Ottoman Empire blazed, and at its center, a young sultan determined to fulfill a prophecy 700 years in the making. Mehmed II was born in 1432, the third son of Sultan Murad II. Court life in the Ottoman world was a brutal crucible. Of his two older brothers, one died in infancy, and the other was murdered at his father's order. The grim calculus of dynastic survival. Mehmed ascended to the throne for the first time at age 12, when his father briefly abdicated. He was recalled when crisis demanded Murad's return, but the lesson was carved deep: rule or be consumed. When Murad II died in 1451, and Mehmed ascended for the final time, now 19 years old, the world braced. His first act was to immediately renew a peace treaty with his Christian neighbors. His second was to begin plans for the conquest of Constantinople. The two acts were not contradictory. They were strategic. His obsession was the city. He had studied its walls, its waterways, its history. He knew the weak points that every previous conqueror had failed to find or failed to exploit. He was not going to fail. The preparations were extraordinary in scale. Mehmed assembled an army estimated at 80,000 to 100,000 soldiers, janissaries, cavalry, irregular infantry, engineers, and artillery specialists recruited from across Europe and Asia. But his masterstroke was a weapon no wall in history had yet faced. The cannon, and dozens of others, were dragged to the walls of Constantinople on specially built platforms, pulled by teams of oxen, over roads that had to be reinforced along the way. But Mehmed had another strategic problem: the Golden Horn. The Golden Horn was a natural harbor on Constantinople's northern flank, shielded from the Ottoman fleet by a massive chain stretching across its mouth, a chain the Byzantines had used for centuries. As long as that chain held, the city could receive supplies and reinforcements by sea. Mehmed's solution was one of the most audacious engineering feats of the medieval world. On a single night, he had his engineers construct a greased wooden trackway over the hills north of the city. 70 Ottoman warships were hauled, mast, hull, and all, over land on wooden cradles, lowered into the Golden Horn behind the chain. When dawn broke, the Byzantines looked out and found an enemy fleet already inside their harbor. The city's northern defenses were now exposed. The Ottoman army arrived before Constantinople on April 6, 1453. Inside the walls, Emperor Constantine XI commanded a garrison of barely 7,000 men, perhaps 8,000 counting Venetian and Genoese volunteers, to defend 14 miles of walls against 100,000. The Theodosian walls, built in the 5th century, were triple-layered, 40 feet high, 15 feet thick, and reinforced by over 90 towers. They had never been breached from the outside. Every siege in 1,000 years had eventually broken against them. Urban's cannon changed the mathematics. The great cannon could only be fired 7 times per day. Each reload took hours, but the cumulative damage was devastating. Sections of the outer wall that had stood for a millennium began to crumble. Every night, under cover of darkness, Byzantine defenders scrambled to fill the breaches with timber, barrels of earth, and whatever came to hand. Every morning, the cannon fired again. Mehmed launched multiple assaults during the weeks of siege, probing attacks designed to drain Byzantine strength and test their lines. Each was repulsed. The defenders fought with the ferocity of people who understood what defeat meant. But the arithmetic was relentless. There were simply too few of them. By late May, the siege had ground on for nearly 2 months. Mehmed's advisors grew uneasy. A prolonged siege drained resources, invited disease, and risked the intervention of outside powers. Mehmed chose assault. He set the date, May 28th into the 29th. He gave his soldiers a promise of 3 days' plunder if the city fell. He moved among the camp himself, addressing his men. Inside Constantinople, Constantine XI spent his final evening at Hagia Sophia. A great vigil was held, Orthodox and Catholic Christians praying together, their centuries-old theological dispute set aside in the shadow of annihilation. Ambassadors, priests, citizens, soldiers, all gathered under that great dome, beneath its mosaic saints, in what many knew would be their last night of safety. At midnight on May 29, 1453, Mehmed II ordered the final assault to begin. The first wave, irregular infantry, struck the weakened walls like a tide. They were thrown back. The second wave struck again and was repulsed with heavy losses. For 2 hours, the defense held. Then came the Janissaries, a Genoese commander named Giovanni Giustiniani, who had been the linchpin of the Byzantine defense, was gravely wounded and carried from the walls. His departure broke the spirit of the defense at the critical moment. A small gate, the Kirkoporta, was found unlocked or unguarded. Ottoman soldiers poured through. By dawn on May 29, 1453, it was over. Constantine XI, last emperor of Rome, was last seen charging into the mass of Ottoman soldiers. His body was never definitively identified. He died as he had lived, on the walls. Mehmed II entered Constantinople on horseback that afternoon. He rode to Hagia Sophia, the greatest church in Christendom for nearly 1,000 years. He dismounted at its doors. A handful of citizens who had sought refuge inside were spared at his personal order. He called for an imam. The call to prayer echoed for the first time under that golden dome. According to Ottoman accounts, Mehmed walked through the imperial halls and reflected on the fallen empire before him. He was 21 years old. The fall of Constantinople sent shockwaves across the world. In Rome, leaders mourned. In Venice, traders feared the loss of roots and influence. Across Europe, rulers prepared for what might come next. But the consequences ran deeper than fear. The fall triggered one of the great intellectual migrations in history. Greek scholars fled westward, carrying manuscripts that had not been seen in Western Europe for centuries. Works of philosophy, science, and classical knowledge. This movement helped ignite the Renaissance. The Ottoman control of overland trade routes to Asia pushed European powers to seek alternate paths. Within decades, explorers would sail across oceans, reshaping the entire world. Mehmed made the city his capital. He rebuilt it, repopulated it, and transformed it into a thriving center of empire. He saw himself not as a destroyer, but as the heir to Rome's legacy. History is marked by turning points, moments when the old world ends and the new one has not yet found its shape. May 29, 1453, was such a moment. A 1,000-year empire fell in a single morning. A young sultan fulfilled a prophecy. A civilization's refugees carried its knowledge westward, where it would flourish into something new. The walls of Constantinople still stand in part. The city endures, alive and ever-changing. And somewhere beneath the rhythm of modern life, the echo of that distant cannon shot still lingers, a reminder that the world can change forever in a single moment.